This is a valve, typical valve out of a Model T engine. Every gasoline engine that's been produced in the United States, or practically all over the world, has to have some kind of valve, an intake and an exhaust valve. Over time, the face of these valves where it seats right here wears down, gets irregular, gets burn spots in it. So this machine here is what they developed to reface the face of the valve. And so what you do is you crank this down in there. That gets that tight. This is set at the right angle, and this is a grinding wheel. I know it's hard to see, but this is a grinding wheel right here. You start up the machine and you move this back and forth, and that puts a real nice finish on the valve. As you can see there, that's a pretty nice finish on that valve. So that will seat real well. The next operation that you have to do to the valves is you have to set the clearance between this end of the valve and the little thing that pushes it up and down. And I'll show you that in just a minute. Okay, to grind off the end of this valve to obtain the right clearance, so you don't want the thing always touching and then it might leave the valve open. So what we need to do is figure out, once we put it in the engine temporarily, is to figure out how much clearance we want down here. And once you know that, you put that in this machine just like this. Tighten this down. There's a dial indicator on here. You can figure out, you just barely touch the stone down here to the end, and then you can dial in how much clearance you want. And once the machine's running, you can goo this back and forth and it will grind off the stem and get you to the right clearance. Now the one thing you might notice, this machine is probably from the late 20s. Model Ts were made starting in 1908. They would have had other ways of doing it, much cruder ways of doing it than this. But this probably started about the 1920s. This is an original Kwik-Way.